Friends, it's time for another round-the-block review, this time with 220 horsepower, 258 pound-feet of torque, and a little Hinweis right at the top. It's something most of us are incredibly biased about. Okay, so before we get too far down the road here, maybe it's best we dispense with the adolescence right from the top. Let's come around the turn here. Oh yes. Oh, I think this will work. Just dandy. We'll come to a stop here, and we'll go into the sport mode because it's a DSG. We'll make sure, yep, that was switched off, and then we'll do a little brake stand. Get to 3000. We are there. Bist du fertig? Ich auch. Okay. I'm sorry, I just had to do that. And I love this car. And here's the thing. I gotta get something out of the way right from the start, a little bit behind the scenes here. So I would love to tell you that there is significant objectivity when it comes to this vehicle, but that's a complete and utter lie. This, maybe I haven't mentioned it over the years, this is kind of in that pantheon of Lotus, where it's like, it's one of the very few cars I would actually write a check for. So that list is, it's a Lotus Elise, obviously. A Challenger, I know, surprising. Love the Challenger. And then there's, oh yeah, S-Class Coupe. And then there's this. And you know what? I'm not alone. Everybody who drives these things, they completely love these cars. Okay, let's put aside the excitement here. Actually, before we put aside the excitement, let's try that trick again, because I want to demonstrate a couple of reasons of objectivity here of why I love this thing. So we just did a brake stand, launch control start there, what? Not but a couple of minutes ago. We're in sport mode. I'm going to switch this thing off again. Okay, so we are deactivated. I've got a brake stand going, get back up to 3000. And look at this. I am punishing this car, 7,000 RPM, I'm hitting the red line, and you could do this literally all day, and believe me, I have, and there's just, the car just takes it. So this is reason number one why I love this car. It is a usable toy on roads like this, but you can also use it for, like, I took this thing to Costco and loaded up tons of stuff when the coupons were almost about to expire. Then there's another point here, and that is this dynamic control system. So this one is fitted with dynamic control. If you were to do like a base car, there is no dynamic control. It's just adjusting throttle mapping, transmission mapping if you have this, and that's about it. But this car is fitted with a dynamic control system. So let's say, for the sake of discussion, let's go down to the celery mode. Let's go to the comfort mode. We've got a nice turn coming up here. And look what happens. If I push it a bit much, this is a front-wheel drive car, people. So there isn't a huge amount, actually there's virtually no squat or dive, but there's a bit of lean side to side, not even roll in the back, and that's in comfort mode. But now let's move up a notch and go up to normal. So this is like the basic GTI mode, and I'm still gonna let the transmission do it, and all of a sudden, notice, it's a little bit more composed, which is why I would call this one composed mode. And this works just fine, but then once you spend some time in a car equipped like this with a DCC and go into the sport mode, that's when you're like, oh my God. And all of a sudden, the oh my God is not, wow, the dampers are great. The oh my God is this really a front-wheel drive car? And this gets to one of the reasons why I wanted to circle back to this after spending a lot of time in a Golf R. And that's, most cars, when you think front-wheel drive, I'm like, oh my God, I wish it was all-wheel drive, I wish it was rear drive. Now, me, I would always prefer rear drive over an all-wheel drive car. But like, you take the Golf R, especially the way that one is tuned, because it was tuned by Hans Stuck, there's more power going to the rear wheels. So you'd think that is like head and shoulders above this car where you wouldn't even consider it. But when you get into just even a basic GTI, like the base one, two-door, cloth seats, whatever, and you go back to back, yes, you notice a difference, but what's amazing, you still have, I want to say, 80 to maybe 85% of the sharpness with this DCC retained in the front-wheel drive model over the as part of the all-wheel drive model. And this is why I would actually seriously write a check for this car, because normally I would never ever consider owning a front-wheel drive car. This is one of the few, probably the only one. Now, that's part and parcel to the dollars, and I can't bring up this car without talking about the dollars. When you think about the base one, and we're going to get into this a bit more just later in this episode, but the base one, let's say the 2016 Coupe is a shade under $25,000. There is nothing on this planet that comes close to that in terms of value for money when you're talking about the driving dynamics of a car. Just nothing, especially with the fit and finish and the way the thing is screwed together. But then here's the somewhat unscientific part. If you were to pull the price tag off this car, put any car guy or gal behind the wheel of it, they'd still love it. There wouldn't be one of these instances of, that's the best car, ... for the money. Like people would describe Corvettes, previous generation Corvettes, it was always, that is an amazing car for the money, but it's got a terrible interior, but. Now you no longer have that with Corvettes. This, you've never had that. So can you start to see why I am somewhat subjective with this specific car as opposed to objective, and I've tried to be objective in painting these three parts of the car that really have spoken to me. Okay, putting aside my cheap value side, here's where we get to a bit of a difficult spot for me, and that is the transmission. You and I both know I would always prefer a manual transmission, and if I were to own this car, it would be a manual transmission. But here is one instance where I can begrudgingly acknowledge that this is indeed a fantastic transmission. And let me show you a reason why. So let's go back to drive mode here. The car, we're just driving on a regular straight road here. This is an automatic like any other. But then notice the road is going to change a bit up here. So rather than use the paddles, I'm going to switch back into the sport mode. Let's go down this hill. This is a bit of like an amusement park here. Let's put our foot into it a bit more as the road gets a little bit more challenging. I'm not going to change gears to have more control over the car. I'm just going to use brake, gas, and notice the car, the transmission just, it does what I would do. And this is where even a guy like me, the religion is manual. I'm not saying I could live with this. I wouldn't live with this. But I am amazed and can see why people would go for this. But still, remember what I said in the Audi episode. If you're, the only reason that you can tell me this is better for your instance is if you are actually drawing a paycheck as a race car driver and that extra like 0.03 of a second makes a difference for you. That's the only reason where you can honestly tell me, oh, but it shifts faster. Other than that, you're feeding me a line of crap. Then there is this is a mass market car, so we do need to talk about things like the way it's screwed together and the fact that it is Apple CarPlay now. Like Volkswagen's, the interiors have always been good, especially over the past like 10 years, as it's gotten a lot from its corporate cousin Audi. But there's like geeky things that I have to bring up here and put aside that yes, this is screwed together here, or it now does Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, but like the odometer. The odometer and the trip odometer, what they've done is they've put an animation in there that has a digital odometer and trip odometer mimic an analog odometer, like from like back in the day from like your old Chevy from the 50s. And it's stupid. It's probably a waste of resources, but I love it. And these are some of the details of why, again, I'm trying to be objective with you people here. Okay, but the interior provides an incredibly good jumping off point to say all is not right in Camelot. And really, if I'm honest, there's the fuel economy thing as well. This is great if you're just driving around town like a normal Golf. You actually get pretty good fuel economy. But if you drive it kind of like this, fuel economy, let's just say not paramount. But my guess is that's not why you'd be driving the car at that rate anyway. But then back to that interior. So one of the things I love about this car is you can get those Verbery seats. I forgot exactly. It's like a VW check, whatever they call it. It's like the check seats, they're cloth, and it goes back to the original GTI. Actually, I got a buddy of mine that has a wallet that is made out of the Verbery material in this generation of GTI. I love it, and I've tried to steal that wallet. And actually, you know what? I got another buddy of mine that's got a wallet. It's almost even cooler. His wallet is made out of the cloth from the original M5. Really want that. Anyway, that's going off on a tangent. So before I shot this, I went on and tried to geek out and build one online. And a couple of things I noticed. Number one, if you go online, there is no 2017 two-door GTI in the US. Now, I don't know if it's because it's early in the model year or they're just flat out saying it's just not on offer. This, don't quote me on it, I'm going to have to speak to some Volkswagen people. But then, if you look at the different like trim, there is like the basic four-door for 2017, and that's about $26,000. Excellent value. And that is the base car, Verbery seats, kind of nothing in it. But me, I'd want the DCC, have to have the sunroof, but I'd want the Verbery seats, can't do it. The only way to get DCC is to do this, which is the Autobahn package. But then that takes the car from like the screaming deal at 26 grand to 36 grand. Like this car you are looking at right now, 36 grand. Even with this, it's just, I gotta say it, man. You know I love it, but black on black, blah. It just, there's no contrast at all. Especially when there's such nice detailing in the build quality of this thing or the overall design of the interior. All the more reason why I'd want the Verbery seats, and probably a lighter color on the exterior just so I can get some contrast. But I digress at this point, and I want to get back into the point in that if you're buying a GTI and there is a value proposition with a GTI at 26 grand, why can't I get the DCC and the Verbery seats and the sunroof? So let's say we over-allow that it's $1,000 for each option. Not that Verbery should be charged extra for, but let's say it's $1,000 for each option. They get you to $29,000 US. Still a screaming bargain for the performance. And remember, 258 pound-feet of torque. This is no slouch at all. But 36 grand provides a problem, and the problem is not from other manufacturers. The problem is sitting in the same showroom. It's called the Golf R, which is 39 grand. Now, I know you're all going to scream at me, go and try to find one for 39 grand. Yeah, you're probably going to have a hard time finding one for 39 grand. I'm sure you could go to like, North Dakota and get one for 39 grand, and you'd have a hell of a drive back. But at the end of the day, at 36 for this, as magical as this is, there's a $39,000 Golf R. Now that provides some problems unto itself. Number one, can't get a sunroof. And for the life of me, I cannot understand why Volkswagen does not offer a sunroof in the Golf R. It's just the dumbest thing on the planet. The car is probably built down the same line. It's easy to put the whole thing in there. It doesn't change the structural integrity of the car, so let's have a sunroof. And then obviously no Verbery, but you do get the manual. So this is where I need to turn this around to you guys. Now, I know what I would do. I probably wouldn't get even because I can't get the Verbery, I can't get the sunroof, and at 36 grand, it's too close to other cars, especially the Golf R, which is a magic one in its own right. But now, I want to turn this around to you because I am fully admitting to you guys that I am horrifically subjective. Like, if you ever click on a video of mine and it involves an S-Class coupe, a Lotus, or a Challenger, expect me to be completely biased. I'm just being honest with you. So, all the more reason why I need to make the question here, which would you choose given the choice of this car, meaning it's got to be the Autobahn? Don't tell me you're going to choose a base strip car for 26 grand because that's no competition. My question is very specific. Would you pick this car I am sitting in right here? Yeah, you can change the color, but it's got to be the Autobahn with this DCC and the leather seats, which again, I don't know why they don't offer this in a different, like you can't even get a different color leather. It just doesn't make any sense to me. So Autobahn at 36 grand versus a Golf R at 39 grand. And you know what? Don't just tell me which one you would choose. I want to know why, and even more important, I want to know what you currently drive. And you know what, for good measure, throw in what region of the world you hail from. Let me know in the comments below or via our social media. MotoManTV all one word, MotoManTV all one word, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And with that, I want to leave you with two things. Number one, make sure you download our fancy new mobile application, which you can download for free at Apple iTunes or Google Play. Did you know that we are live on 5 international airlines, including Emirates and Virgin Atlantic? And then number two, I want to leave you with a fun fact. You know what? I don't think I want to tell you the fun fact this time. I think there's a better fun fact that we can do here, and that is, let's be adolescents again. So come to a stop here. We'll go to sport mode. We'll switch off the traction control, which you've got that. Do a brake stand. Go to 3,000 RPM. It's steady. Turbines to speed. Seatbelts fastened. Ready, Batman. Okay, on that note, now I can say bis später.